we are back in the moving on to meditation and prayer. We're learning now about the Shema. What we're learning now is about Shema Yisrael, how to make this meaningful, how to be able to, number one, read it, number two, understand it, and number three, the ability to actually meditate upon it. That's what we're learning right now. I'm just going to pull out my notes over here and change my setting on my phone so I'll be able to see it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we've learned through this course so far, and if you've missed any of our previous classes, you can find all of our meditation and prayer classes neatly listed at jewishgardens.com/spiritual. I think it's /spiritual. Yeah. jewishgardens.com/spiritual is where you'll find all of our classes on meditation and prayer. And we encourage you to review those as we went through mindful eating and we went through the Shema. So far, we've learned the first line of Shema, Shema Yisrael. We've learned the second line of Shema, which is Ve'ahavta, and you shall love God, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your very. Now we're moving on to the next verse of the Shema. Okay, here it is. The next word of the Shema is the word Vehayu. Vehayu, and these words shall be, these words shall be, that I am commanding you today upon your heart. And these words that I'm commanding you today, they shall be upon your heart. That's what the verse is saying. But now let's learn how to read these words and how to understand them and how to meditate upon them. See, here it goes. Based upon our Hebrew word diaries that we have been building through this course, we have at least 20 words so far that we've added to our Hebrew word diaries. We're going to start applying them now because of 20 words. Remember, you already have very powerful tools with which you can start to apply your Hebrew understanding. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. When we have 100 words, you will be fluent in Hebrew for all practical purposes. But right now we already have 20 words, and I'm hoping that you're using them on a regular basis. Writing the Hebrew word diaries, the Hebrew on the front of a flashcard, the English on the back of the flashcard, and going through them on a regular basis. So we learned, when we studied the name of God, we learned that there was two names of God that we knew so far. One was Hayah, the four-letter name of God that you're not allowed to pronounce properly. And the second one was Elohim. Elohim was the name Yehiyah. Hava means past, Hayah means past, Hoveh means present, Yehiyah means future, because when God is timeless, that's the name of God, describing God who is infinite. God before he subjects himself to the laws of nature, the laws of math, the laws of time, the laws of space. The way that God is infinite, the way that God is miraculous, that's when we see the name Havaya. Anytime we see miracles in the Torah, you'll find the name Havaya related to it. Anytime you see normal, natural events, you will see the name Elohim related to it. When God created the world, you'll see Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning, Elohim created the world because Elohim was the introduction of the laws of nature. Now that we know that Havaya is made up of past, present, and future, Hayah, Hoveh, Yehiyah, now we'll be able to interpret the word Vehayu. Vehayu, which means, and they shall be. It's a form of Hayah, and it was. Hayu, Hayah means singular, it was. Hayu is a plural form of it was. They were. So we're applying a word that we've already learned to be able to say, we are the scholars. We can do this. We can apply the meaning of this word based upon a word we've already learned. It's going to take a little bit of practice, so hold tight. Again, if you want to review the if you want to review the Hebrew word diaries and understand the meditations and the meanings behind these words, you can find all these classes at jewishgardens.com/spirituality. Okay, jewishgardens.com/spirituality is where you'll find all of these classes, and I highly encourage you to review them. Okay, now that's basically the word. So we don't even need to read the word. We've already learned how to spell that word. Sorry, I think the link was jewishgardens.com/spiritual. Spiritual. That was the link. I'm sorry. jewishgardens.com/spiritual, not /spirituality. Okay, /spiritual. That's where you'll find the classes previously. And he's writing me a note here on YouTube: infinite space and eternal relates to time. So Hayah is God's name. The word is infinite and eternal. Infinite relating to space and eternal not relating to time. Perfect. Good. So now let's keep on going. The next word is a very, very interesting word, hadvarim. Hadvarim, and these words. V'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, and these words shall be. So the first thing I'd like to do is to identify the root of this word. It's a very important word which we're going to be adding to our Hebrew word diaries. And if you haven't done so already, I encourage you to go to the Google Play Store or to the App Store on your phone and to download an easy and fun app. It's called Read It in Hebrew, RIIH. It will cost you $1.99. I think it's well worth the investment. And if you go there, you'll see this app, RIIH, Read It in Hebrew, which provides you with the tools that you need to brush up on your Hebrew reading. So the first letter we're doing today in today's word is dvarim or daber. The first letter is a daled, which has a dent at the back of its head. When it's got a dent at the back of its head, that's what makes it a daled, as opposed to a very similar letter, the resh, which has a rounded back to its head. If it's rounded, then it's a r. If it's got a dent, then it's a d. And that's how you tell the difference between a daled and a resh. I guess it spells doctor. Daled resh is doctor. Even in Hebrew today, when you write someone's doctor, you say daled and resh, right? Daled resh, doctor. Daled's got a dent. The resh has got the rounded. So those two letters is the daled and the resh. In the middle of these two words, we have the bet. The bet, it has two forms. If it's got a button in the middle, then it's a bet. If it is vacant in the middle, then it's a vet. Button for bet, vacant makes it a vet. And that's how you have the word daber or davar. This root is a very, very important root. It's a very important root. All words are important. Definitely in this word here today, our Hebrew word diary. And what it means is things. Davar means things, or it could mean words. So Dvarim is the name of the 5th book of the Torah. Bereshit is Genesis, Shemot, Exodus, Vayikra is Leviticus, Bamidbar is Numbers, and Deuteronomy is Devarim. Devarim means things, but also means words. So Ledaber means to speak. Ledaber or medaber is I am speaking. Ani, I, medaber, I am speaking. The mem at the beginning of the word makes it a present participle. Medaber, I am speaking. When you can identify that root of the daled bet resh, you've identified the root of the word, even though it's got a mem at the front, or when it's Devarim, the 5th book of the Torah, it's got that yud and the mem at the end. If you can start to train yourself to identify the roots of all words, you will find the heart, the meaning of a word. The whole language, the whole tongue is like a donut, where you have, in the radio business, they have, you make an ad, right? You make an ad with a front and an end, and then in the middle, you switch out the various content. Like, let's say we were doing a concert recently, right? So we had a beginning, an introduction, and a closing, a call to action. But in the middle, we would play various kinds of music. So the middle is what switches out like a donut. It's a concept. I'm sure you can be familiar with this concept in other places of life that I'm probably not aware of. Much the same way, you have a donut in the Hebrew language. You have the letter in the front, like a vav in the front means end, or yud and the mem at the end makes it plural. But the root in the middle can change, and that's how you can identify the meaning of a word, even though it looks a little unfamiliar. If you can train yourself to look for the 3-letter roots of all Hebrew words. So when you see the word devarim, you say it means words or it means things, because the root of dalet bet resh means a thing or a word. Now, what's interesting is that when you say ani medaber, I am speaking, like one of the first words that any American will speak is ani daber ivrit. Have you ever heard of that? Or ani lo daber ivrit is what they'll typically tell you. All that they know is non parlare italiano is what I tell my wife's friends. I don't speak Italian. At least that's what I tell them. I don't speak Italian because I don't want them to know that you understand. Means no. Daber kind of is a weird form of the verb. Hebrew. Daber means to speak. And in fact, in Kabbalistic parlance, there are 4 strata within creation. There is the inanimate, called the domem, which means silent, the non-speaker. The inanimate is called domem. Think about that. Inanimate in English means not alive. In Jewish thought, everything is alive. Everything has got a soul. It's not inanimate, as in non-anima, not alive. It is alive. Everything's got a soul. A piece of God that is infusing it with energy. Everything's got energy. So the inanimate is called the silent one, domem. Then the flora kingdom is called someach, that which grows. The fauna kingdom is called chai, that which is alive. Interesting. But the human kingdom is called medaber, speaker. What defines us as human, friends, is our ability to speak. And now we're moving from the reading and the understanding of the word to the meditation. What's so interesting about this ability to speak? That it actually defines us. It is our label in Torah. The human species is called the speaker. That is what makes us unique and different to the other creations of this world. In fact, the Aramaic translation of the Torah by the great Onkelos, the nephew of Titus, who destroyed our temple, Onkelos, who converted and became a Jew and became a great commentary, a brilliant Kabbalist of Torah. To think he's the nephew of Titus, unbelievable. He translates the soul that God infused within Adam as ruach memalela, a speaking spirit. A soul with the ability to speak. You see, because the power of speech is extraordinary. Now, I did speak about this in my sermon this past Shabbos, my 2-minute sermon, which you'll find on youtube.com/Jewish Gardens. It was titled, Change Your World by Changing Your Words. And I'm going to give you quick pointers from that, just to give you a little meditation to think about. Remember that God created the world through speech. And God said, let there be light, and there was light, right? We who are created in the image of God also have the ability to create through our speech. We don't see the implications of that necessarily, because the effect of our speech is in a more spiritual world. But our speech absolutely has power upon us. And there's many biblical examples to prove that. You know, Isaac became blind after a Gentile king as a cover for the eyes. Rachel died after her husband Jacob uttered a curse in frustration that whoever did a certain act will die. And she did it. And so she died. But even a Gentile king was far from holy. His words came to be fulfilled. We have to truly watch our words. Now, it's really fascinating is that the root dabel, this root also means leader. Dabel. It also means leader. Now, I know that you probably are raising eyebrows right now, especially my Hebrew speakers, because it's not a common Hebrew word. But I will draw your attention to the blessing that we make for the soldiers of Israel every Shabbat. And in that language, we say, Yadber Amim Tachtenu. May he lead Yadber Amim Tachtenu, which seems to mean, may he speak nations under us. But really what it means is, may he lead nations behind us. May we be leaders of others. So the root of the word, Dalet Bet Resh, means things, it means words, and it also means leadership. And the reason for that is because through our speech, we make things happen. Speech, the lead. Like God creates the world through his speech, so too we make words, like the famous story of the Baal Shem Tov. Heard two people fighting, and one said to the other, "I'll tear you up like a fish." And the Baal Shem Tov closed his eyes and he showed the Hasidim how this guy was literally flaying the other guy like a fish in a heavenly spiritual realm. When you say a four-letter word, you're creating nasty energy. When you're saying positive words, you create good energy. When you tell someone, I love you, you actually conjure positive feelings towards that person. And when you say harsh words to someone, you're actually conjuring negative energy towards that person, even if it wasn't there before. And you'll notice that when you speak about something, if you read something in the news, you might get upset. But when you talk about it, to someone, you'll notice that your emotions suddenly flare up. Because speech is a creator. Speech is a leader, and therefore speech is what defines us as human beings. And that's why when you read this in the Shema, V'hayu hadvarim, and these words shall be, the meditation here is about the power of our speech. And how we have the ability to change our world through changing our words. Words are like seeds. Who you are today is the product of what you've been saying about yourself. It's the extraordinary power of our words, of our speech. And that's the meditation which I'd like you to think about here. That you got to be mindful of your speech. Even outside of the synagogue, even when you're talking to your wife, you're talking to your kid, when you're talking to your friends, to the guys or the girls, and you feel that you can let loose, you can't. You've got to watch your words, because Brit Kruta Lisfatayim, the Alter Rebbe rules in the code of Jewish law that a covenant was made with the lips, that what we say comes true. Whether we see it or we don't see it, that's a different story. But the Alter Rebbe rules in the code of Jewish law that a person should never say to a child something nasty. Like, oh, you'll, when you try to scare kids and you say, oh, this is going to happen to you. God forbid, you should never do that, because it might just happen. In a tangible sense. So the rules, you should never say that. So let's be mindful of our words, recognizing that words are leaders. Words and leaders is exactly the same word in Hebrew. And we have to be mindful of the words that we speak, because they change our reality. And I think that we can call it a day. Let me just check the notes over here, the comments. Sarah, hopefully learning the holy language to be able to learn and pray and not speak the street language that has given new meanings and definitions for many words. That's right. That's why we're going straight to the source. Destroying the language, like the Christians destroyed our Torah. Okay, fair enough. It's causing the mem word idea to emerge from the mouth. It's causing the mem word, the medaber, to emerge. Exactly what the question is. Oops, the mem should be at the beginning of that sentence. Mem is causing the word idea to emerge from the mouth. By the way, you'll notice that the word Pesach, the entire yontif of Pesach, means to pass over. Pesach means Passover. But Pesach also means peh. Peh is a mouth. Sach means talking. A talking mouth is the meaning of the word Pesach. So one meaning of Passover, Pesach, is Passover. Another meaning of Pesach is talking mouth, because the mitzvah is to talk. What are you supposed to talk about? You're supposed to talk about the Exodus. You're supposed to talk about the miracles that God did for us when he took us out of Egypt. And the miracles that God continues to do for us as he takes us out of tight and narrow spaces, out of our problems, and he puts us into a state of freedom. That is the miracle which we're supposed to talk about, because the more we talk about, the more we schlep it into our reality, into our world, into our experience. When you talk about something, you make it real. So instead of looking for a seder to be as absolutely humanly fast as possible, I encourage you to slow down. Have a meaningful, slow, and mindful seder. Like a gourmet cooked meal. Have your words gourmet delivered, prepared, pre-thought out, and spoken beautifully in mind. I read a note that my eldest daughter, wrote last night to her class as a project, some sort of a review of Pesach. She said that this Pesach was less about other people and more about us, having beautiful gourmet meals, home cooked at home, and deep and meaningful discussions around the Seder table. The way she described the Seder was something my wife and I found so meaningful, because she said that it was the most beautiful Seder, it was the most meaningful Seder, the most wholesome discussion. For a 12-year-old to say that is something so meaningful for a parent to read. That's the power of words. If you want to influence the next generation, talk to them. The future is molded around the dinner table, around the Seder table. Talk to them. Have comment. We have spoken about that, but yeah, and you're getting into the nuance of the words. Let's check what's going on in Facebook. I see you've got back. Even after the Facebook crash, the power of the forces of darkness, the Satan, has let us, has tried to separate us, but we are stronger. And we have 4 people back on Facebook. It's Andy and Hannah and Alyssa and Pam. Thank you for sticking it out with us, folks. Again, if you've missed any part of this class, you can always find the entirety of the class at youtube.com/Jewish Gardens. That's youtube.com/Jewish Gardens. You will always find the Gates of Trust playlist at one easy place. It's jewishgardens.com/trust. Easy to find all the classes on Gates of Trust, jewishgardens.com/trust. And it's easy to find all the prayer classes at jewishgardens.com/spiritual. That's jewishgardens.com/spiritual. That's where you'll find all the prayer and meditation classes with all our Hebrew word diaries. And I'd ask you please to share this video on Facebook, to like the video on Facebook, and to subscribe to us on YouTube. If you'd like to be notified of when the classes are happening on YouTube, then in addition to subscribing, the red subscribe link on top, you also have to click on that little bell. There's a little bell on top next to the subscribe link. And if you click on that bell, that's when you'll be notified every time we have a class. You'll get like an email or something that will tell you every time we have a class going on. So with that, folks, I want to remind you that tomorrow morning we will be doing this class on Zoom as well as on Facebook and YouTube. The Zoom link is all in yesterday's email. So look out for yesterday's email. It's called Let's Meet Face to Face. And in that email, you'll see the Zoom link that we're introducing tomorrow morning to our Judaism at Home course, which is a 5-week course covering the mitzvahs that pertain specifically at home. Hopefully, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 8:30. Meanwhile, make it a safe and meaningful day. Always look forward to hearing from you.